me ask you, John Miller, what you're learning right now. And I know that Kristen and Randy were going through some of the details about the suspect who I just want to make sure everyone knows, since we are talking about the second assassination attempt, it appears in 9 weeks, that this individual is in custody. Right, the Secret Service engaged him. He tried to flee, but he is in custody. So they're able to question him. At least from my understanding, he hasn't said anything as of yet. But what are you learning from your sources about this individual and why he was there? To Kristen's point, if no one else knew Trump for sure was going to be in the state of Florida, never mind at Mar-a-Lago on the golf course, was he just sitting there every day waiting for this opportunity, or did he have some sort of information?
Well, what we know is Ryan Wesley Routh, who is a 58-year-old individual who has lived in Hawaii, has worked as a construction worker in North Carolina, is in Florida today in custody. He was arrested driving a car that was registered to what we believe is his daughter. And how did he know to be on that golf course, on that perimeter at that time on this day? Is one of the key questions that the FBI and the Secret Service, from a protective intelligence standpoint, are going to need to know the answer to. But there is one possibility, because Kristen Holmes, who's done incredible reporting throughout the day on this, tells us it's not on a public schedule. It is, not known to people that, where he's going and when. But as she also reported, when he moves, it's a big cavalcade of cars. So if you see it going from one place to another, you can have an idea. But more relevantly, in today's age, and we experienced this in New York City, protecting presidents, where we would do something called an OTR, an off the record. It wasn't on the schedule. They would go to dinner at a place. It would be some private meeting where people spot that on social media and they put it out. So if he was in the area lingering for a long time, looking for that information, they'll have to go back through social media. And did somebody say, I'm on the golf course and Donald Trump is here?
And that's possible. Then we don't yet know whether, when they scour that, what they will find. Jonathan Wacker, we also don't know exactly the distance, for example, right now between the Secret Service agent who spotted that barrel, AK-47, the barrel sticking through that chain link fence with the scope, the distance between the agent and between that gun, whether they saw it with the naked eye or not. We know that this all went down very quickly, that gun was already, through the chain link fence waiting. So, Jonathan, what is your view from what we know right now? It's limited, but that's what we know about the actions of that Secret Service agent.
Well, I think it's important to understand that the Secret Service has been dealing with protectees that play golf for a very long time. And they've curated over the years the protective model. And what I mean by that is, if you think about a golf course, it's a very large area of real estate to secure. So what they've done is they basically create a moving bubble around the protectee, in this case, the former president of the United States. And in that bubble, you have what we've seen numerous times, which is the protective agents, the women and men that surround the former president. But the protective model here also bumps out a little bit. And what you have is you have agents that flank to the left and to the right of the protectee along the edges of those fairways and pushing out even further. And you have agents that are in advance. And I don't want to divulge how many, because that is, it would reveal too much of the security plan. But there are agents that go out in advance, and they are literally specifically looking for this type of threat. That would-be assassin that's lying in wait, trying to take advantage of cover and concealment to then launch an attack. And that's what we had today. One of those agents came across, identified the threat, and immediately reacted to it. Again, averting a potential disaster had the president come close enough to be within sight of that would-be assassin.
Juliette Kayyem, we don't have the exact distance from the shooter to the former president either. We have a range of 300 to 500 yards, which with a scope, of course, is that can be shot. We all understand that. But what does that mean to you, Juliette, that this was close enough from the perspective of somebody who knows what they're doing with a scope and a gun can shoot and succeed at hitting their target from that distance? And that's the distance we're talking about when we're just trying to understand here how close this actually came to happening.
Well, we're also assuming that at the moment that the Secret Service agent engaged him was the moment that he intended on shooting Trump, because we don't know if Trump would have gotten closer to him, just given the layout. If you look at the layout in terms of where he was. So the engagement may have happened at a time when he was further from Trump than the assassin essentially intended. And regardless, it's all too close. It shows the challenges of setting up legitimate security perimeters when you have people who are targets, who are former presidents and presidential candidates, and you simply cannot have a security perimeter that encompasses all of that area in Florida. So this was incredible work by the Secret Service, it appears, at this stage. Probably a lot of luck, but also the assassin's intent of when engagement or when the shots would have been fired may have been later, and we would have reason to believe that only because his backpacks are still on the fence. We don't know where Trump was going to be at that stage.
Right. All right. Well, we're all going to be returning in just a moment, and of course, the fact that this individual is Ryan Wesley Routh is in custody is hugely significant. And he had an escape plan, right? So he was planning on getting away, as he indeed tried to do when the Secret Service engaged him. Our breaking news coverage continues here on CNN on the back of this appearing assassination attempt on former President Trump on a golf course today. We will be back here on CNN in just a moment.